Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
O's mad, 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 O's mad. I pull up in that old jet, hold fast.
Hey, hi. What's up, you guys? This is episode 19 of the 40 Ounce Fridays podcast. I am Kyle, aka HiK-Upp. Hope you guys are having a good Friday. I'm fucking exhausted. This was a weird week for me at work. The schedule got shifted around. So a lot of people ended up having to work 6 days this week, including myself. Next week, the schedule goes back to normal. I'll have 5 days, but my days off are different. Still got Fridays off, though, except for this week. I had to work 6 days, so I had to work Friday. Excuse me. It was a 7 a.m. shift, and I'm not used to being up any earlier than 9. So, oh man, it was a struggle getting up. And also, this was my 7th shift in a row, and I still have to work the weekend. Yeah, I don't get a day off until this Monday, and the last time I had a day off was last Friday. So, I'm fucking exhausted. But you know what? I'm chugging along, and we're gonna get this episode done. I just got home, like a couple minutes ago, or like 10, 15 minutes ago, and I was like, let me get this podcast out of the way before I get, everything else done that I need to get done for the day, before this fucking weekend hits. Oof, weekend at work is rough. But, anywho, welcome guys. Hope you guys have been having a good week. Hope you guys have been having a good Friday. And what are we talking about this week? I only recently put it up on Facebook, maybe 2 days ago. But, pretty much the topic I wanted to discuss is a really, broad one, I feel like. So I'll be able to, ramble freely with it, in a sense. But what we're talking about this week is going to be why I love the anime community and why I hate the anime community. Because there's a lot of things to love about the community, and there's also a lot of things to just... Sorry about the shitty editing. I had to go do something really quick. But like I was saying, there's a lot of things to love about the community, but there's also a lot of things to dislike. And a lot of things to dislike. A lot of love for it, but a lot of hate for it too. And I just wanted to rant about that for today. So, I don't know how long this one will be. Knowing me, I'll probably stretch it out, because I like to go on and on and on and on. But, yeah, I was like, let's do a little broad topic, a little light one. So, that's that. But, before we get right into that, I wanted to do some quick little updates for video games. Anyone who cares about my Dragon Quest XI progress, Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition. I'm almost done with Act 2. I'm, really taking my time with the game, just because I've already played through it. And also, I'm looking at all the new stuff that's available, new costumes and the whole little side quest stuff going on. So, I'm almost done with Act 2. I just have to do the final dungeon. I was just finishing up side quest, and I have all the side quests finished, all the ones you can do as of Act 2. But, I have to do the newer side quest, a little Tackle Time side quest where you go to all the different Dragon Quest games and stuff like that. I have to finish whatever I can, and then I'm going to go to the final dungeon, just so I can get all that stuff out of the way. I kind of just let it all gather up, and then I'm like, I'll just run through it in a big thing before I go to the last dungeon of Act 2. But yeah, so I'm doing that. That's been fun, continuously. And we still got plenty of time before Pokemon comes out. And also Pokemon, I believe it was a new trailer in Japan that was showing, the different games and Pokemon over the generations. And it looks like they showed a bunch of Pokemon in the trailer, 3D, kind of you know how it's supposed to look like they're in the real world. It looked like, I'm pretty sure all the Pokemon in that trailer are pretty much just confirmed for the game now. Because it'd be weird to have a Pokemon trailer for Sword and Shield with these Pokemon not in the game. a lot of people are hating on. They're like, half these Pokemon aren't going to be in the game. I feel like that'd be a stupid trailer. I could be completely wrong, honestly, and they just do that, which would be dumb of them. But I don't think they put them in the trailer if they weren't in the game. So you had stuff like Umbreon was there. I saw that, but I'm pretty sure all the evolutions are going to be in it. I've seen Eevee. Eevee's getting the fucking Gigantamax form. But I've seen, like, Leafeon in the trailer, and I'm pretty sure Jolteon and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure all the evolutions are going to be in it. They haven't shown them all, but I'm pretty sure all of them are going to be there. I feel like it'd be weird if they cut some of the evolutions out. But Wobbuffet was there, so Wobbuffet's in game, looks like. Bisharp, he's going to be there. Flygon, my boy's in the house. Maybe he'll get a Gigantamax form. Wailmer, so I'm assuming if you see one evolution of a Pokemon, the rest of its evolutions will be in the game. It'd be really weird if Wailmer was there, and then Wailord wasn't available in game. But yeah, stuff like that. So you can probably look up the newest trailer. I just bring Pokemon up every week just because, you know, the whole controversy going on with Sword and Shield, how it's polarized the fan base, this and that. The whole thing of like, oh, you're a sheeple, if you buy this game, even though people are just waiting to actually play to get valid criticism for it. I just bring it up every week. Hopefully we get like a final trailer soon, like a final thing before they're just like, alright, no more, wait until the game comes out. I'm sure we'll get one more. Because the last, like, thing with the Gigantamax forms, that was last week, right? Or 2 weeks ago, with the whole new Gigantamax forms that we were talking about. Something like that. I think it was last week. So, I'm sure we'll get one more, like, trailer or direct or announcement for Pokemon in November. Like, early November, because the game comes out halfway through the month. So, we'll probably get one last thing early November, and then we just wait, like, those 2 weeks, and then Sword and Shield comes out. So, hopefully by then, that'll happen. I'll give, like, my final thoughts on it. And then I won't talk about the game until I've actually had, like, first impressions. Because I'm definitely getting it. I made the room with my money and my checks, you know, adulting, planning out my life. And I do have the room to get one version. I don't know if I'm going to get Sword or Shield yet. It's going to be right on the spot choice. Right when I have the money, I'm just going to be like, alright, I got to pick one. So, we'll see how that goes. But, also, some fun news I found out about Persona 5 Scramble, and this isn't, like, insider news, this is just common knowledge. I come out of the loop. Like, I'm not here to, like, do, like, these crazy scoop news updates. I don't have the resources. I don't do the research like that. But, this is just my thoughts on it. Persona 5 Scramble, or Persona 5S, when it was announced, way back when Persona 5 Royal, around the same time Persona 5 Royal got announced, people were disappointed because everyone was hoping that it was Persona 5 Switch, and it was just going to be a Persona 5 port to the Switch, and that wasn't it. And we see that it was a Koei Tecmo game, which means it's a hack and slash kind of thing, and people were super bummed. And I think I talked about it on the podcast. I was just like, they never said it was going to be Persona 5 for the Switch. Everyone assumed that we got bird for it. So, it's whatever. But, what I've learned recently, because I hadn't really been keeping up to date with Scramble, I was like, I'll probably end up getting Scramble somewhere down the line. But now I definitely want to get it, because it is a sequel to Persona 5. It is like story events taking place after Persona 5. So I was like, oh, okay, and there's going to be exploration, things like that, new cutscenes, new dialogue, the crew is back. I'm excited to see what this game's about, because Persona, a sequel, so I'm still probably not going to get it at launch, though, because I believe the trailer said it launches worldwide in February. I could be wrong. It could have not said worldwide. It could only be the Japan release, and then America will get it at a later date. But I'm pretty sure it's worldwide. It comes out February, sometime in February 2020. I probably won't get it at launch, purely because Persona 5 Royale comes out at, Royale, like a battle royale. Persona 5 The Royal comes out, March 3rd, So I want to play the Royal first, because even though I've already played through Persona 5, and I could probably play Scramble, because it's a sequel, I'm not sure if Scramble's going to have, like, information about the Royals content. I don't know if it's going to, but I kind of want to avoid, like, being spoiled for Persona 5, the Royals content. People have been, like, people on YouTube, like, especially people I follow, have been, like, uploading little videos of, like, oh, the new special kind of new intro prologue thing, da-da-da-da, this and that. I'm like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see any information about Persona 5 The Royal yet. Like, the only things I've seen for Persona 5 The Royal are what's, like, Atlas is showing, like, the trailers, the little news updates, the magazine things, the hidden bosses for 4 and 3, but I don't even think they're hidden bosses. I think Atlas, like, announced that. I don't think that was anything, like, special. But it wasn't, like, story involved. Like, I don't want to know anything, new added to the story. So, I'm probably going to get, and it's probably going to be a while before I get Scramble, because Persona 5 The Royal and Final Fantasy VII Remake come out in the same month. It could be Final Fantasy VII Remake that comes out March 3rd, and Persona 5 Royal just comes out in March, they said. I don't know, but they come out in the same month. So I'm already kind of pissed about that, because I'm just like, God damn it, they released the same fucking game. So now I have 2 games to try to get and play that month. I'm hopefully going to just try to ask for Final Fantasy VII Remake for Christmas, like as a Christmas gift, so I don't have to pay for it. And then I'll just buy the Royal myself. That way I save a little money. Or vice versa, so I can get, like, I at least want to, maybe I want to get, like, the deluxe edition of the remake. I'm not getting that fucking Ultimate Edition. That shit was expensive. I was like, that is too rich for my blood. So, we're not doing that. But I'm like, I might pay the $20 extra for the deluxe. I might chill it out. Final Fantasy VII is a part of my childhood. Excuse me. But anywho, yeah, Scramble. Scramble is going to be a sequel to Persona 5. So I'm sure a lot of fans were pleased about that. And it's not just some weird spin-off hack and slashy thing. It actually has a storyline and plot in the Persona 5 world that's official. So I'm real curious to see how that's going to go down. But that's about all I want to talk about for games. I'm not really playing anything else besides Dragon Quest right now. And Smash, waiting for Terry to come out. I believe he's supposed to come out in November. So soon, and hopefully around the time Terry gets released, we'll get the announcement for the last Smash character. I was actually watching a video, and they were saying it'd be cool, and it might be a real possibility, if a Monster Hunter mascot got added. Like you know how in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, I know people hated on that game, but there was a Monster Hunter character in Infinite, and they were just called Monster Hunter. They were just like a character thing, because you know you're creating characters. So they were saying, what if something like that gets added into Smash? If not at this deal, like if it's not the last DLC character, then something in the Season 2 pass, because we know more content is coming. They said more DLC characters are on the way. So I believe it, though, because he was saying, why would they add Rathalos as, like, a boss fight that you could do, but not have an actual Monster Hunter character? I don't even think there's a Monster Hunter stage either, huh? It's just Rathalos. So I agree, it is kind of weird that they would only have that and not a mascot. He was saying that's if they had like a Ridley boss fight, but Samus wasn't available in the game. Like, it's just like, yeah, it's weird. So I'd be down for that. I'd definitely be down for Monster Hunter, because he was like, it could be a really versatile moveset. Like, maybe they have like pre-selected weapons for like different attacks, or the character's down B could be like a weapon switch. So let's say they have like a greatsword, but then they do down B, and then they have like a bow and arrow and down. And like they don't have to do every weapon type, because there's a lot of fucking weapon types in Monster Hunter. But they could do like maybe like 3 or 4 of the main archetype popular ones. And I think that'd be really cool. That'd make it a really versatile character. Something something that would probably be hard to, like, master just because you would have to learn all the play styles of the different weapons and what they could do and what's going to help you in what situation. So it'd be something where it's like, well, he has all these moves, but at the same time, you have to master those moves. It'd be just like Monster Hunter with the different weapon types. You have to learn how to use those styles and what they're good for. So I'm down. Especially if one of his movesets was Hunter Horn. I'd be so down for that. Just imagine blowing a horn in Smash. I don't know. We'll see. Other DLC characters that I would want, definitely like Spyro, Crash. People want Sora. Sora could work. I don't know if they'll do it or not, but Sora could work. No more sword characters. They don't want sword characters, but they want Sora. And they're going to be like, it's a Keyblade. It's still a sword style. He's still swinging it like a sword. Chrono from Chrono Trigger would be great. I don't give a fuck how you guys feel about sword characters in Smash. Less than a fifth of the roster is sword characters. So, it's not even a lot. I was talking about this with some friends, and I brought it up before. They're like, yeah, but this and this. I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, there's like 60 other people you could be. Over 60 other people you could be. Like, having this many sword characters is not an issue. They barely make a dent in the roster. Like, they really do. Like, count them. Count them right now. As soon as we get the last character for Season 1's DLC, I believe the roster is 80 characters. This is me counting Echoes and all 3 Mii Fighters. The roster will be 80 characters once the last Season 1 DLC character gets added. So, I believe even if the last DLC character is a sword user, I still think that's less than 20 sword users. So that's not even a fourth of the roster. I'm like, guys, chill out. It's not a lot. There's so many other people you could be. But I'm rambling. I just want some cool shit in Smash. I don't care who it is. And also, you don't have to buy the DLC characters. Oh, you didn't deserve a slot. Then don't buy it. I already bought the Season Pass. That's your fault. If you bought the Season Pass before knowing what the character was, that's your fault. How is that Nintendo's fault? They added a character you didn't want, but you already paid for it, not knowing what it was going to be. Like, bro, I bought the Season Pass just because I was like, regardless of who gets added, it's going to be fun. Smash is always fun. And the Season Pass has been great. We got my boy Joker. We got the hero from Dragon Quest. We got Banjo and Kazooie finally. We got a highly anticipated, like, in-demanded character from America and a highly anticipated in-demanded character from Japan. And then we're getting Terry Bogard? Oh. Like, we're getting my boy Terry? So I'm excited. Smash is delivering. Thank you, Sakurai. You are a fucking godsend. But, on to the main subject. I didn't really, like, write anything down for the whole, things I hate and things I love about the anime community. I'm just gonna talk about it in a ramble as I go along, just because I'll list them off. But, I think, for starters, one thing I love about the anime community is that the fact that it exists, I think is really good, because I feel like a lot, not everyone, because, you know, there's going to be those people that are like, I never had that problem. Like, what? You know what I meant. Majority. I'm speaking from personal experience. I know a lot of people, including myself and friends, who were younger and didn't really have an anime group to be a part of. Like, a lot of people I know now, like, are met in high school that were into anime. They were talking about when they were in elementary school and middle school, how there weren't a lot of people around who were into it. So they didn't really have a group, and they felt like a bit of a loner. So the fact that, like, especially now with the internet, Facebook, and all that stuff, the groups, you can have, like, a big community, or, like, a group or a page, get together, meet up, and discuss things they like anime. It's cool. I think that's really neat. And it's nice to meet people who like to talk about the same stuff as you, and not have to feel weird about it. It's like, oh, you like anime? It's like, yeah, everyone in this group likes anime. I'm glad the community gets to flourish. It's really neat. But that just leads to the community becoming so large that it leads to the first thing I hate, which is the toxicity of the anime community. I feel like the anime community has the most toxic population possible out of any kind of community. Like, it's disgusting. And I'm not saying every anime fan is toxic, because they're definitely not. But I feel like the toxic people in the anime community are just deadly. They're just poison. It's just like, ugh. It makes you not want to talk about it. Because they're just so, like, in your face and gatekeeperish. That's another thing I hate. I'll get into that, like, the whole gatekeeper thing. But I don't know, man. The gaming community has its toxicity. You know, the movie community has its toxicity, like, stuff like that. But, like, anime, I'm not talking solely anime in general, not anime games, not anime, like, well, I guess this counts anime films, too. It's just anime in general. Anime and manga. We'll just do that kind of whole group. I feel like the toxicity in these groups is just so high. And I think a lot of it is because these people, because there's an anime community, there's something they felt a part of, and they could share their, like, experiences and their opinions and their knowledge and experience in the group and with the culture of it. But at the same time, you get those people who are essentially elitist. And, like, anime elitists are the fucking worst. Oh my god. Those are the people who, I feel like a lot of anime elitists are the people who didn't have anyone to talk about anime with when they were younger, and as they grew older, they just kind of accumulated this knowledge. So now that there's a group or a community, like, nowadays, it's kind of more acceptable, to say the least, to like anime. I'm not saying, like, you couldn't back then, you could, but I feel like it's more like, even, like, people outside the anime community, there's a higher population of people that are like, yeah, I'm not into it, but I don't care if you are. It's one of those things now, and I'm sure part of that is because we all grew up, but in general, like, in America, like, anime is a lot more mainstream and accessible now than it ever was back when we were kids, and that has to do with, you know, just people becoming more comfortable with it, the internet just advancing so we can do all this crazy shit with it. Like, you can stream anime right now. I remember being in middle school at my friend's house, and we were looking up an anime episode, and we had to watch it in pieces on YouTube at, like, less than 480p. It was awful. Everyone's seen that meme, but everyone has lived that life where you're just like, fuck, dude, they don't have the part 2. They deleted it. And then you find it, but it's, like, subbed with Spanish subtitles, so you don't know what's happening. It's like those kind of things. And we all kind of grew up like that, but now it's so accessible. People are kind of, like, essentially flexing their anime knowledge, if that makes sense. They're just like, oh, well, if you haven't watched this, then it's like, oh god, like, I hate those kinds of people. Now it's like, people did get picked on for watching anime. People were like, oh, that's a myth. There's even people in the community that say that. I'm like, just because you didn't get picked on for watching anime doesn't mean people didn't get picked on for watching anime. Like, I've never been shot. That doesn't mean there's no one who's been shot before. Like, what the fuck? Like, like, your life experience isn't everyone's life experience. I'm just speaking from personal experience and experiences I know from friends who are close to me and in my circle nowadays. Like, a lot of people got picked on when they were younger for liking anime and manga, and now that they're older, and it's kind of, like, seen as the cool thing, they want to bully people who aren't as knowledgeable or are casuals, as you would say, like anime or manga casuals. So they want to be mean and bully them, and I'm just like, God, 2 wrongs don't make a right. First of all, at this point, we're all adults. Like, what kind of grown man flexes on someone because they don't know as much about fucking Naruto than them? That's stupid. Like, you sound dumb. As passionate as people can be about these stories, which is not a bad thing, like you feeling emotion from a storyline, especially something you grew up with, and that you feel does have undertones for, like, more complex meanings for life and this and that, which they do, which a lot of stories do. I talked about that last week. Anime can go really deep. It just depends on what you're watching. Yeah, just because you can do that doesn't mean you should get so aggressive on someone who doesn't know as much as you. that really turns people away from the community and certain anime. Like I said, like, a lot of people don't like One Piece because the fan base. And I used to hate certain shows because of fan bases. I've grown to let that, kind of roll past me, like, yeah, fuck that fan base. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. But a lot of people still feel that way. It's just like that's a turnoff for them. And I understand why it's a turnoff for them. Because you don't want to be associated with that group. Like, I think that's the big thing. Like, you don't want to get into One Piece now because the fans, like, really turns you off from it, and it's really annoying. And then not only that portion of that fan base is something you don't want to be thought to be a part of. You don't want to be that DBZ-tard or a One Piece stan or something like that. I'm not saying every One Piece fan is a One Piece stan, but that part of the community, like that toxic fan base, that toxic One Piece fan base, is so, like, overbearing. Same thing with Dragon Ball Z, same thing with Naruto. It's the same thing with all of them. It turns people away. So toxicity is just this big encompassing thing that just takes in a lot of things. But I've been talking about this thing that I hate for a minute, so let me let you guys know another reason why I love the community. How can I put this? I don't want to make it seem like, oh, he's thinking of something. I'm trying to word this correctly. I'm trying to make sure this, like, makes sense when it comes out of my mouth. I feel like a lot of people, this goes into the internet again. A lot of people within the anime community have made, like, really good friendships through it, if that makes sense. It's like how when PS3 and Xbox 360 were the big thing, and voice chat was a big thing. Everybody remembers the classic Xbox 360 lobbies of Call of Duty, just all the racial slurs and kids cussing each other out being thrown around. But there's a lot of people from my generation who were gaming like that, who made, like, really good friends through games that they only knew through games. And I feel like the same thing can be applied to anime communities. There's a lot of people who are, like, really good friends because of anime and manga, and maybe they haven't necessarily met in person, but they're, like, good homies, and then when they do get the chance to meet up, like, maybe they go to a convention or something, it's, like, the coolest thing ever. So it's heartwarming to see the community, like, come together like that. So there's toxicity, but there's also, like, that love for the common thing, which is anime. So a lot of people, what show can you recommend? And then somebody was like, oh, try this. And it's like, oh, that sounds interesting. They're like, oh, this is dope. And then the two people have a discussion, and then they become friends through that. And that's something I think is really cool and really unique for us, because people, there's still that stigma that a lot of anime fans are like, introverted shut-ins. I'm an introvert. I'm not a shut-in. Like, I have friends. I go outside. I don't necessarily like a lot of people, but that's just because I don't know strangers. Like, and being out in the world this day and age, people could be anybody. So I tend to not really open up to a lot of people until I've met you maybe like 2 or 3 times. You're not going to see HiK-Upp in full effect. Essentially, I'm going to be a little more closed off. But a lot of my friends are just like, you know, you just got to wait for it. And people take that as me being like, oh, he just stays home and saying, like, well, first of all, I do stay home a lot, but that's because when I get home from work, I'm fucking exhausted. So, yeah, there's times where I'm just like, no, I don't want to go outside. I want to go home and lay down because I'm tired. I was just at work all day. I talk to people all day. Do you really think from there I want to go outside and talk to more people? No. Like, I'm good, fam. I am introverted, but I can be social. You just have to get to know me. And that goes for a lot of people in the anime community. They're, like, super social people. They're super nice. They're friendly. But people still, like, get this, like, stigma that every anime fan is a shut-in nerd who doesn't talk to anybody, who stays in their house all day and does nothing. And I'm just like, well, first of all, that's an expensive habit, alright? Being an anime fan is an expensive habit because people buy merchandise, like figures, posters, maybe like DVDs or Blu-rays of a series, manga, especially if you're a manga reader, like a hardcore manga collector, and love the feeling of like turning a page rather than looking at a screen and reading manga. Like, it's an expensive habit. So first of all, we can't be in our house all day because we have to go to work. Like we have jobs. So we have to talk to people. And we go out and talk to other people with the same interest, because that's how you accumulate knowledge about the community. You make friends within the community. You guys go back and forth and trade popular series you like. You have to communicate. You can't just... So, not to say that there aren't people like the stereotype, because all stereotypes stem from, like, a real thing. But, not everyone is like that. And I don't get why people still think that. Especially in 2019, it's kind of easy to look some shit up. It's the same thing like how I was saying last week with the person who still thinks anime is for kids, and it's weird that people still think that, because it's not, or not all of it, and I don't know why this is still a thing that people still think anime stories can't be deep, when people have different brains and there's different genres of anime. And there's different maturity levels for different genres and different subjects. Just like regular TV. But, the whole community and bonding thing. So another thing I dislike, I was talking about, is gatekeeping. I fucking hate gatekeeping and anything in general. But I feel like it's so hammered down when it comes to, like, anime and manga fans. And pretty much... And I still see it. I see it all the time. I see it, like, every fucking day, especially in, like, the groups I'm in on Facebook. Like, I don't know if I brought it up before, but some dude posted, like, if you don't like One Piece or you haven't watched One Piece before, you can't really call yourself a true anime fan. And first of all, where the fuck do you get off telling people they're not a real fan for not watching something you like? Look, I don't care how popular One Piece is. I don't care that it's world famous. I don't care that it's the number one selling manga. If somebody doesn't like it, then they have the right to dislike it. If somebody doesn't want to watch it, then they don't have to watch it. Them not liking it or not watching it does not then take away their status as an anime fan. You know how you're an anime fan? You watch anime and you enjoy it. Like, you can be a casual level fan or more of a hardcore fan, but you're still a fan. No one should tell you, like, oh, don't watch this because this show and this show and this show is trash. Anyone who watches Dragon Ball Z is a loser who doesn't know what real anime is. Like, stop with your gatekeeping and telling people what to do and what to watch. It's like, oh, you have to watch this and this and this. Like, people who love to, like, lay out rules and, like, a community where there shouldn't really be, or at least those kind of rules of, like, what to watch and what not to watch. Who cares? Like, who cares if somebody doesn't like something you like? How is that hurting what you like? Fairy Tail is a guilty pleasure anime of mine. I know Fairy Tail has issues. I still like Fairy Tail. It's just like the stupid guilty pleasure anime. I don't take less enjoyment out of Fairy Tail just because somebody then's like, Fairy Tail sucks. How can you watch that shit? This and this and this and this. Like, who cares what he has to say? Like, I'm not pushing it on him. Like, I go about my day. Same thing with Yu Yu Hakusho is my favorite anime series of all time. Anime and manga series. I got the Blu-rays. I want to eventually buy the manga series and just have it on, like, a shelf to display, because it's such a classic series, and it's really close to my heart. Like, growing up, like, I really love that series, and I watch it religiously. I just, like a month or two ago, I just finished it again. Like a month ago, I finished it again for, like, the 80th time I finished that anime. But I don't go off on people for not liking Yu Yu Hakusho. Now, if you want to get into a discussion or a debate between two people, like if two people get into a discussion about, like, they don't like this show and the other person does, and they want to talk about the reasons why one likes it and one dislikes it, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. That's fine. I'm saying you shouldn't force your ideals on somebody as if they were facts. Like, that dude was straight up serious. Like, the dude talking about One Piece, he was just like, if you don't watch or like One Piece, you're not a real anime fan. And he was dead ass. Like, he was just like, no, I'm serious. Like, One Piece is the greatest thing, the greatest anime of all time. Like, I'm just like, okay, first off, to even, like, have an opinion of that level, I feel like you would have to watch a lot of different anime series. I don't want to say all, because, first of all, if you say all, that's impossible. To watch every anime that ever came out and that's coming out from this point forward, it's impossible. It's too much. Anime is just more than this one thing. Like I said, it has so many different genres. Like, there's shonen, there's seinen, there's shoujo, there's sports, there's horror, there's comedy, there's drum. It's just like, and you're going to watch all of that and then tell me which one is the best? No, One Piece can be your favorite. You can think One Piece is really good and it's really high up there. And it's true, One Piece has the sales to back it up. But at the same time, I just don't understand why people like to be haters about it. And where was I going with this? Gatekeeping. Like, I just don't put yourself in a box or let someone put you in a box with your opinions on a show. And that whole thing goes both ways. Like, there's a lot of people who like to voice their opinion about something they dislike because they see it a lot. Now, say for instance, if you're not a fan of Dragon Ball Z, I'm just going to use that as an example, and you, like, you know, actually have reasons why, and they're fair, and you're actually talking like a normal person, and you're not just like, it's shit, and this sucks. You're actually giving reasons why you dislike the show. Like, you're giving it a critique. Don't let someone try to shut you up about it, because at the end of the day, that's your opinion, and it's a fair opinion to have. Now, I'm not saying, like, that's what I mean, like, how people gatekeep in the terms of, like, this show is shit, you shouldn't watch it, and if you watch it, you're not a real fan. That's something I have an issue with, because it's just like, well, who gives a fuck how you feel about it? I like it. Now, if you don't like something, but you're going about it in a way where it's just like, well, I think this character could have developed better. I feel like the story falls flat around here. A general critique, and someone's just like, man, you just a hater, this and that. I'm like, that's not what hating is. Excuse me. I think hating boils down to pretty much someone who doesn't like something and gives a negative opinion on something, but doesn't really give real reasons about why they dislike it. Like, I feel like that's what hating is. Like, when you give reasons why you dislike something, you're not being a hater, that's just a critique. Like, when you say, like, I don't think the character was handled really well, or I feel like this power-up or whatever happened in the story situation just came out of nowhere, and there was no build-up or setup for this, and you're explaining events, and you're giving viewpoints, and you're like, point A to point B just kind of leaps, there's no in-between to tell you, like, this build-up is happening, or give a reason why this happened. That's a critique. You're giving reasons why you think how it could have been better, how it could have improved on itself. That's not hating. Hating is when you're saying you don't like something, but you're not explaining why you don't like it. If that makes sense. Hopefully you guys get what I'm saying. Like, okay. Say, let's do this again. Say, for example, a character isn't, like, by the end of, like, a series. Let's take a character, and they have such and such personality flaws, like, character flaws. And let's say the anime is, like, 50 episodes. By the end of the anime, the character has either gotten rid of these flaws, or at least greatly improved as a character. Let's say that was not done well, and you give your reasons why you don't think it was done well. You're saying, well, he kind of just suddenly changed. Yeah, there were a few things that you could say, like, started shifting his opinion, but there was only like 3 things within the span of 50 episodes. They were really minor. They were never really addressed that deeply. He kind of just heard someone say this one time, and it was just like, oh, and it was like so critical to him. But why is like this person saying this thing now affecting his life at this point? How was that different from like when somebody did this and you didn't care? This and that. Like you're showing why there wasn't enough factors to motivate the character to change. Thus, the change at the end just makes no sense. He changed for the sake of changing. He didn't change through growth. That's a critique. You're critiquing it. Now, someone could agree or disagree with you, but at the end of the day, that is your critique. That is your opinion. That is fair. You're not hating. You're explaining why you disliked whatever aspect. Now, let's take another series. Let's take something where, like, let's say the character from point A to point B through this 50-episode span has all these things happen, and maybe, you know, like, some people still disagree that he shouldn't have changed so drastically, but objectively, there's a lot of events that motivated and shifted the character. Like I said before, like, oh, this person only had, like, 3 really small things happen to them, yet he suddenly drastically changed as a person. Let's say in this situation B, that the character had, like, 30 things happen, and they were, like, 20 of them were minor, but 10 of them were, like, these major events that happened that really changed the character's mind and perspective. And over time, he slowly started shifting his viewpoint, and his character was slowly growing rather than suddenly at the end he's different. Like, over time, you can tell he's evolving. Now, let's say people still don't really like that character, but they give reasons, and it's their opinion. A hater would say, that shit sucked, I don't give a fuck. Like, they would pretty much be saying, like, the character didn't get any better, but they're not explaining why they think the character didn't get any better. They're just like, the character is the same person, he still sucks, even though we see this drastic change as a different person. And let's say somebody's like, it doesn't make any sense why their personality changed, even though you're giving examples why, they're not really giving counter arguments as to why they disagree with you. You could give, like, evidence from the series. You can show, like, oh, this event happened, and we see this affect the character for maybe, like, 3 episodes over. It's, like, something that's going on in his head, and you can see his thoughts changing as the episodes go along, and then another major thing happens, and he's like, oh my gosh, this and this, and then the person's just like, that's not a good point. Yeah, whatever, that doesn't help. Like, there are people like that. This isn't me just giving, like, some dummy example. There are people who really act like that, who don't care. And I feel like that's more of being a hater. It's like, you're hating you dislike this for no reason. That's what hating is. When you have a reason for disliking something, you're either giving a critique, or that is your opinion. When you don't have a reason why you dislike something, I feel like you're being a hater. You're just hating it for the sake of hating it. I dislike this, so I have to stand by my own opinions and not give you a reason, but I'm just going to say I dislike it. You double down. And I feel like a lot of people hate because they're proven wrong at the end of the day, but they don't want to admit that they were wrong. So they just kind of double down on what they said, even though it makes no fucking sense. So, I hate that shit. Is what I'm getting down to the bottom line. It's just like, you can't talk to those people. You can't reason with those people. But that kind of goes with one thing I really love about the anime community. And those are the people you can reason with and can have discussions. The discussions about, like, certain anime or manga, whether it be like a storyline or characters, are fucking great when they're great. You know what I mean? Like, I talked to so many people about JoJo's because I fucking love JoJo's. My friend is almost done with part 5. He's 7 episodes. He has 7 episodes to go before he finishes part 5. So he's almost caught up on the anime. I'm caught up on the anime. I want to start reading the manga soon. I just need the fucking time. Busy adult life. But I love talking about the characters in JoJo because they're fucking fascinating. Like, if you're not a JoJo's fan because you see that surface level and you're just like, I'm like, you guys got to give it a chance. These characters get so deep. Like, I talked about Okuyasu from JoJo's Part 4, the whole potential podcast a few weeks ago. It was a couple episodes back. But I really like talking about Okuyasu because I love Okuyasu's character. I love the idea of his character. He grew not through like, oh, I'm going to completely change as a person. He grew in terms of getting rid of a flaw. And the flaw was him being a follower. Like, he didn't believe in himself. He knew he was very well aware and self-conscious that he wasn't very intelligent. So because he knew he wasn't very smart, he kind of just let other people lead him around. He was like, I'm going to do what you want to do because you seem like the smart person. I'm not very smart, so I'll just follow along with whatever you're doing. He did that with his brother, and then after his brother died, him and Josuke became best friends, but he was following around Josuke. He was following Josuke's lead. He was following Jotaro's lead because he didn't have the confidence, or he didn't feel like he was smart enough to make his own decisions. But as you go through Part 4 and see Okuyasu's character, all of Okuyasu's best moments and best, like, successes, like the times he's actually successful in his actions, are when he makes his own decisions as a character. And by the end, we see Okuyasu just be that person. Okuyasu stays Okuyasu throughout the series, but he learns that he just needs to lead himself instead of following other people. And I thought that was a really cool message for a lot of people that kind of like stick to following instead of leading because they don't have a lot of confidence in themselves. And I don't want to say that Okuyasu had a confidence issue, but it kind of like goes hand in hand with that idea because he always gets flustered when he's listening to other people or people are, you know, kind of trying to provoke him. Like the first time when they were fighting Red Hot Chili Pepper in the field, and Okuyasu actually got the upper hand because he took action. He was just like, I'm going to stop this dude, and he was successful. But then they started playing Red Hot Chili Pepper started playing mind games with him, as Jotaro was like, just wait right there, just right, and his brain got scrambled up, and he fucks up. But later we see him make up for that with a choice all his own. When Red Hot Chili Pepper stand user is about to attack Joseph, and Okuyasu has to figure out which dude is impersonating one of the Speedwagon members. And I'm sorry if you haven't watched JoJo's, this probably all sounds fucking foreign to you. But pretty much Okuyasu has to figure out which guy is a spy. And none of the rest of the team isn't there with him. And a lot of characters in JoJo are very intelligent, so they have a lot of tactical thinking. And if they're not super smart, they at least have, you know, like a thought process that goes through their head. Okuyasu makes his decision, punches one dude, and he's right. And the dude's like, how did you know? Okuyasu was like, look, dude, I was just going to punch both of you and hope for the best. And he was successful because he didn't stop to take too much time to think. He was just like, I have to take action, which is what he does. And that's just one of the moments where Okuyasu is like extremely successful as a character. And I loved, and look, I just talked about this nigga for like 5 minutes. And I love talking about the JoJo's characters. Like, Koichi is also from Part 4 of JoJo's, and his character growth is completely different from Okuyasu's. Koichi has like a very like general structured character growth, but it's done so well. Koichi's power grows as he grows as a person. As he grows, he's the one with more of like a confidence issue. And as he grows as a person, his stand evolves and becomes stronger. And he's like this short little high schooler kid. He doesn't look tough. But when push comes to shove, Koichi comes in fucking clutch. And he gets stronger throughout the series because he takes those actions and believes in himself. And he gets better. As he gets better, his stand gets better, and vice versa. As his stand gets better, he gets better. So it's actual, like, growth, like general growth of the character, but it's written so well because his ability and his actual character go hand in hand. So I really like that. And because those two are growing and interacting with Josuke, Josuke grows as a character. But Josuke grows as a character because they do, but they wouldn't grow as a character unless they had met Josuke. If they hadn't met Josuke, they wouldn't have grown. So they all needed each other, and it was like showing that friendships help you grow as people. Like, these three became really tight friends due to the events that happened in Part 4 of JoJo's. And they wouldn't have changed and grew as people if this hadn't happened. Like, Koichi never would have became the person he was had this hadn't happened. Okuyasu always would have been a follower had this hadn't happened. Josuke wouldn't have grown into being, like, someone who could proudly protect Morio if none of this had happened. Because he didn't really want to do any of this at first until more events started happening. And Kira revealed that he had a stand, and Josuke started taking more action. And I feel like that just reflects on real life. Like, a lot of people grow because of the people they know. And I rambled on about that for minutes, but I've talked to people about JoJo's for, like, I've had, like, 2-hour conversations about this show, because all the characters go so deep in what they represent and how they grow as people, how they affect other people from point A to point B. Very well-written show. Please watch JoJo's. Get over the surface level of what you think the show is. It's so good, and it goes so much deeper. The fights are super cool. Everything's super tactical. It's getting the upper hand on the opponent. Da-da-da-da-da. And you can have these, like, really fun, deep conversations, or you can have really just base-level dumb conversations. You could just talk about how cool you thought a fight was, and just talk about the animation of the fight, how they decided to choreograph the fight, how different animes have different choreography for their fights due to whatever world they're in. Like, Naruto has these really, like, cool hand-to-hand combat scenes where everyone's moving really fast and they have these really fluid motions because they're ninjas. So when they animate that stuff, they try to make it as fluid as possible to make it look like this fast-paced fight of these highly trained, like, shinobi. And that's why it looks fluid like that. Whereas My Hero Academia, they're supposed to be superheroes, so they're heavy-hitting. They have all these quirks. Fights are more like a lot of, like, straight-up one-shot kind of actions. Like, All Might comes into a fight, and he just punches and destroys everything. But those fights are still really dynamic, even though they're not as fluid as Naruto's, because it fits with the theme and setting of the world. And you have to do that when you animate a show. You couldn't have, like, Naruto-style choreography in My Hero Academia, unless the character called for it. Like, if the character was some kind of shinobi-based hero, then that character in particular would have those fluid animations. But Deku, per se, wouldn't have that. Deku versus Bakugo during Season 3, they did have some fluid animations, but they were, like, really quick animations. It wasn't those crazy hand-to-hand combat sequences we see in Naruto. And that doesn't mean that My Hero Academia's fight scenes are worse. They're just a different style. And then you have Dragon Ball Z, where they have those crazy clashes where they're moving faster than the eye can see, and they're firing these huge ki blasts, and they have beam struggles. And on the surface level, people are like, well, they're just shooting beams at each other. But you have to understand, like, the power that's going into that, the motivation. It fits the world. And a lot of anime, sometimes their choreography falls flat. Not because, like, oh, the manga just didn't do a good job, just because their choreography falls flat, or they just didn't put the animation and effort into it. Like, a lot of scenes from Fairy Tail's anime, because I read Fairy Tail more than I watched it. Once again, guilty pleasure. But a lot of Fairy Tail's fight scenes are really like these, like, a lot of actions happen, and they're still shots. They're like these still frames, with not a lot of, like, animation moving. There's sometimes, like during the Grand Wizard games of Fairy Tail, there's some good, like, hand-to-hand combat parts where you can see, like, these cool animations and motions of the characters. But a lot of Fairy Tail, a lot of their fights, when they make an impact, it's like a still frame. Just like, pah! They kind of just do. Or, like, if they're rapidly punching, it's kind of just like this, like, kind of alright animated, like, thing. So, in that regard, they fall a little flat in terms of their choreography, but then again, at the same time, they're supposed to be using magic. But if you look at, like, the manga and the artwork of the manga, despite how everyone feels about Fairy Tail, Hiro Mashima's artwork is fucking A1. Like, I read Fairy Tail, and I'm sure a lot of the things that got me hyped over Fairy Tail when I was currently reading it, regardless of it being guilty pleasure or not, was the artwork. The artwork of the fight scenes was beautiful. Like, for people who do watch Fairy Tail during the Tartarus arc, where Natsu and Gray fight Mod Gear, and they're, like, combining their powers and, like, tag team fighting him, and they, like, bump arms, and then Gray has, like, the whole Demon Slayer ice wave, and Natsu has the flames, and they burn and, like, freeze, like, Magir's vines. That scene in the manga is stunning, and it still sticks in my head to this day. The anime one, they did an alright job with it, with that fight, but it has nothing on that manga panel. Like, that shit is beautiful. That fight, he does his artwork is great. Regardless of his storytelling, his artwork is always really good. And I actually have been hearing that, Fairy Tail, 100 Year Quest, is pretty solid. So I need to check it out. I only ever read the first chapter, but I heard it's actually pretty fucking good, so I guess Fairy Tail shaped itself up during the 100 Year Quest. And I also hear Eden Zero is really good. It's a sleeper, so I gotta check that one out too. Another hero. It's the latest Hiro Mashima work. And 100 Year Quest is just another Fairy Tail arc. It's supposed to be a sequel series. It takes place exactly where Fairy Tail ends. It's a fucking the next arc of Fairy Tail. It's the 100 Year Quest arc. But I don't know what's been happening in 100 Year Quest, so for all I know, a lot of things could be different, but I need to check it out. But that's just think, like, you can really get into some stuff talking about anime and have these cool discussions. But on the flip side of that, there's the arguments that happen, not debates, not discussions, but arguments. I am not going to say I haven't been in arguments about anime and manga. Not as much nowadays, like in the last couple of years as I was, but I was a lot younger, like being like in your like late teens, early 20s. I'm 25, I'm about to be 26. So I'm about to start hitting those later 20s. I don't have time to argue with you about a fucking fictional story. Like, so I kind of grown more over that, but boy, those arguments, they be ferocious. And what I mean by like an argument is, I feel like when a debate or discussions becomes like an argument, as in like you guys are like not even being rational, then when you guys start cussing each other out, you're not really giving real points to defend your own. You're just kind of talking shit about the other other person. It's just like, man, that's fucking stupid. You sound dumb as shit. Like that stuff. Oh man, I try not to get involved in the anime groups anymore. Sometimes like people are saying like some false information. Like they're like, I'm like, actually that's not true. That's not a fact. and I don't want to do it because I don't want to get involved. But it's like the urge to just like, because I know it's wrong. I know it's incorrect, and I can cite it. But I don't want to get involved because then I don't want to get cursed out. Like, you know, I don't want to like say something and then somebody's like, man, shut the fuck up. Ain't nobody like, oh my god. Because they will get on you. They will attack you. Even though they're wrong. And it's funny because it's just like, at the end of the day, man, you only making yourself look dumb. Like, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but it's kind of like one of my favorite things I've seen in a debate in like one of these anime groups is people were talking about name origins. I've probably brought this story up before, but this is like a prime example. People are talking about names for Dragon Ball Z, like the Dragon Ball series in general. Like, what were the last names? And people are like bringing up these names, and I was like, oh well, that's a rumor. Like, Vegeta's last name being Bray is not a fact, guys. Vegeta does not have a last name. Sans, as a race, do not have last names. As far as Akira Toriyama has shown, they do not have last names. If they do have last names, Toriyama has just not put them in any kind of story or writing. Bray is a rumor. Or people were like, well, Bulma's last name is Brief, so maybe Vegeta took her last name. Actually, Bulma's last name is not Briefs. That is a mistranslation that's just kind of stuck in the English for so long. And I forget what the video is called, but Geekdom 101 made it. Shout out to my boy Geekdom 101, great channel. But he was going over how Bulma's last name was not Briefs. And I don't remember the whole thing, but I believe he was saying when they were making like the Dragon Ball Z card game, they assumed Bulma's last name was Briefs because her dad is referred to as Dr. Briefs. And it fit with the whole family name because they're all like pun names on underwear, so their last name being Briefs made sense. So then the Bulma Briefs was printed on the card, And then in the dub, they just called her Bulma Briefs. But there is nothing in the Japanese or the original sub of anything, whether it be the manga or the anime, in Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Super, none of that. And the sub or the manga in Japanese, none of that. There's no information in Japan nor from Toriyama stating Bulma's last name is Briefs. It's not Briefs. Bulma's dad is just named Briefs. And he does not have a last name. And a lot of characters in Dragon Ball Z don't have a last name. Tien's last name is not Shinhan. Tien's full name is Tien Shinhan. They call him Tien for short. Krillin doesn't have a last name. Last names are really rare in the world of Dragon Ball. And we know that. It's been factually stated as such. So, and another good thing of proof that Bulma's last name is in Briefs, in Dragon Ball Super, they refer to Bulma as Dr. Bulma. They don't give her a last name because she does not have one. And Hercule's name isn't Hercule Satan. Hercule is a dub change that they did because they didn't want kids saying Satan. But his name is, and his real name's not even Satan, his real name is Mark. And that's official stuff stated by Akira Toriyama. He's called Satan due to, like, earning the title from, like, the dojo or the school he went to train in martial arts. But Goku has a last name or a family name, which is Son. And this is where the point of the story was. Because people were like, well, Goku's family name or surname is Son. And then some dude got mad as shit. And he was just like, Goku's last name is not Son. His full name's Son Goku. Da-da-da-da-da. Because his name is based on Sun Wukong. And people were like, no, his surname is Son. No. And he was like cussing people out and calling them stupid because they thought Son was like his surname. And then people are like, well, what about Son Gohan and Son Goten? And then, like, his defense was just like, Son Piccolo. See, I could put Son in front of anything. But it was like, that doesn't disprove what they were saying. In the manga, because I read the Dragon Ball Z manga, in the official Dragon Ball Z manga, during, like, character, like, you know how when you open up a manga and it's like, here are the characters and the story so far for a volume? It shows Gohan's full name as Son Gohan. Because his full name is Son Gohan. Their family name is Son. Like, and then it was just like, well, he's named after the grandpa, so his full name was Son Gohan. But then they have Son Goten. So they're just putting Son in front of each of their names. That's a surname. It's a fucking surname. And the biggest piece of proof that because I just got over it and posted it, because I remember seeing the video that HiK-Upp posted, even explaining that. And the dude never replied, but pretty much the proof that you can get is during the Cell Saga. This is in the sub of Dragon Ball Z, this is in the dub of Dragon Ball Z, and this is in the manga. When Gohan goes to school and introduces himself as Son Gohan, after class, Videl says Son Gohan. I remember a dude being named Son Goku during the Cell games all those years back when my dad beat Cell, because everyone thought Hercule beat Cell. And then she goes on to say, it's really rare hearing people with last names. It's like, it's uncommon, it's very uncommon or rare to hear someone with a last name. She fucking clarifies that Gohan's surname is Son. It's a family name. So, there's your proof. And it's in the sub, the dub, and the manga. So, his family name is Son. I don't know why. So at the end of the day, the dude only made himself look really stupid. I don't know if he saw my comment or not, but I'm like, you're wrong. And I didn't do it to him in a rude way. I just explained my point. But I'm just like, you're wrong. His family name is Son. Just because he's based off of Sun Wukong doesn't mean Toriyama has to officially name him the full name Sun Wukong. Like, he based Goku loosely off of Sun Wukong. Like, so, it doesn't have to be a one-to-one thing. It's fucking, I was like, that's silly. Yeah, but the dude got super heated. Another one that wasn't as bad, I called someone out because, someone was saying that, Eraserhead from My Hero Academia, his quirk only works if he makes direct eye contact with the person he's using his quirk on. So, like, not only does he have to look at them, they have to look at him back directly in his eye for his quirk to, like, disable their own. And he was like, yeah, and everyone was like, dude, you should reread the manga. He's like, I read it, maybe you guys should, because he has to look them in the eye. And I was like, in my head, I knew he was wrong. I was just like, that doesn't make any kind of fucking sense. And then I Googled it just to be safe. And the Google also was like, my research also confirmed that he doesn't have to look people in the eye. And then I was like, well, maybe let me not directly trust the wiki for an anime, because sometimes it can give misinformation. Like Dragon Ball Wiki has tons of misinformation. So I went to the manga pages of specific chapters in My Hero Academia where Eraserhead's quirk worked and the person was not looking him in the eye. And the two I thought of is when they first start attending UA and they have to throw the ball, and Deku is going to use All for One to throw the ball. No, One for All, I'm sorry. To throw the ball. And his quirk doesn't activate because Eraserhead was looking at him. But Deku wasn't looking at him. So I was like, first of all, see, he only had to look at Deku. He was looking at, like, the back of his head. And the second time is when Shigaraki is about to kill Froppy during the whole villain invasion when they invade the little training grounds with the big-ass Nomu. He's going to use Decay on Froppy, and Deku knows he's not quick enough or strong enough to stop Shigaraki. And in that moment, as soon as he touches her, nothing happens. And then Shigaraki turns around and sees that Eraserhead was looking at him just barely as his face was being, like, forced into the ground. And he's like, oh, look at that, you're pretty cool after all. So those were two examples where they weren't making direct eye contact with each other, that the quirk didn't work. So I was just like, yo, he doesn't have to look them in the eye. Also, he has a little visor to protect his eyes when he's doing battle. And you can't see his eyes while he wears that visor. So that would make no sense that the enemy had to make direct eye contact with him, because they couldn't even see him. He only has to look at them. That's how his quirk works. And everyone started roasting this nigga. And I didn't mean to, like, have this dude get roasted. But I'm just like, you tried to make people look stupid when you were the only one that was dumb about it. So that's what happens in those arguments, dude. You end up looking dumb if you're wrong. That's why you should just be like, oh, am I wrong? Or, like, if somebody's trying to say, like, no, that's not how it works, you ask them, well, okay, where's the proof? Can you explain that to me? Because I do that in discussions a lot of the time. If I don't recall something or I think I'm correct on this point, I ask if they have any proof to prove their point. And there's been a few occasions where people have shown me the proof. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I misread that, or I guess I forgot about that. My bad, I was wrong about that. That's how it is. It's just a fucking story. But I went real deep into that one. But those examples about those arguments, man, like, don't get into arguments about anime and manga, because, first of all, they're pointless. To cuss someone out over a fictional story, even if it wasn't animated, like, in general, to cuss someone out over that is really, like, weird. Be an adult. But also, you can end up looking stupid, like these two people did. So don't be that guy. Please don't be that guy. I feel like I went deeper into the things I hate than the things I love. And it's like, I've given equal points for each. But at the same time, it's just like, the things I hate go so much deeper into detail. Like, the things I love are really, like, you can understand why I love them due to the fact that they're really self-explanatory. Whereas the things that I hate, I get real deep into detail because I really fucking hate these things. But, I'm running a little shorter on time, so I'll probably wrap it up soon. But I'm going to try to think of one more thing I love and hate about the anime community. Because I want to try to balance it out. I have a lot of stuff I could talk about, but I'd run out of time if I kept going at the rate I was going. So I'm trying to think of a good way to, like, wrap things up. Okay. One thing I love about the anime community is the ability to have different accesses to different things, if that makes sense. Like, some people are manga readers, some people are anime watchers, some people do sub versus dub. I love how there's a lot of variety within the group for people's preferences, and then they can share those opinions through those different preferences. I really like that. Sorry, I'm chewing on something I'm eating. But, it might seem weird, like, how is that an anime community thing? That's kind of just like, with the community, I love when people make things like anime, the difference between the anime and the manga, and they show, like, the panels and the differences, and they explain them, or explain why, oh, I'm glad the anime did it like this, because the manga kind of, like, flattened it out, or the anime changed the story, like, completely, and this is how it actually went down, this and that. And those bring up, and it goes back to the discussion thing, it brings up those discussions, or how, oh, the sub changed this, or the dub changed that, or just how, like, dubs in general have, like, evolved to become a lot better over time, more accurate to the scripts, just because we have, like, a better, connection to Japan, so we're able to get the actual scripts that are needed for, translation for the dub, because there's a lot of, like, mistranslated stuff in older dubs. One good example is in the original Dragon Ball Z dub, when Goku goes Super Saiyan and he does the whole speech. I know a lot of like Dragon Ball Z fans as kids remember the speech where he's like ally to good and a nightmare to you and all that stuff, and people love that. Goku did not say that in the manga or the actual sub. Goku does not say that. Goku is a hero, but he's not heroic. And Toriyama has gone on to say Goku is selfish. People are like, Goku's not even a good guy. He would sacrifice everyone just for a good fight. No, the fuck he wouldn't. Because he hasn't done that. Goku morally is a good person. He likes a good fight. Yes, he wants to fight people at their best and have a good fight. Goku does not risk lives for people's fights. Goku did not start the Tournament of Power. He never was like, yeah, let's just delete universes that lose. He never did that. That was Zeno's idea. And then the Zenos even go on to say that they were already planning on erasing those weaker universes anyway, so now at least someone had a fighting chance. So no, it's not Goku's fault. People are like, but then he still shouldn't have done... But he never intended to do that. It was a poor decision. That does not make Goku a bad fucking person. Like, people make poor decisions all the time. That doesn't make them bad people. But Goku always wants to do what's good when he's at the right place at the right time. He's just like, of course he wants revenge on Frieza, who killed his best friend right in front of him. But also, Frieza just happens to be a bad fucking dude. So of course he wants to take Frieza down. Frieza's an asshole. He's evil. Like, Goku's not going out being heroic. He just happens to be a dude that likes to fight, who's a good-hearted human being. Or, not human being, a good-hearted Saiyan. Like, you know what I mean? And, Kai fixes this. People need to stop hating on Kai, too. People still hate on Dragon Ball Kai, and I don't understand why. But, the actual speech, Goku is being pretty fucking selfish, and kind of taunting Frieza, essentially. He's just like, oh, look at that. You can't even, beat a monkey, and, like, I'm the one thing that you've, like, feared your whole life, like a Super Saiyan. He's being mean, like, he's being kind of selfish, but rightfully so. His friend just got killed right in front of his eyes, and he could do nothing. Like, his childhood friend, best friend, died at the hands of this monster, and he could do nothing. He almost killed Piccolo. Earlier, Vegeta died, but that was it. That was the point where he snapped. He fucking killed Krillin, and damn well, he probably was going to try to kill Gohan next, just to torment Goku, and that's what triggered the transformation. So Goku was being very selfish out of anger and out of vengeance. He still was technically doing the right thing, because Frieza is an evil person, but he was doing it for selfish reasons. But that makes the speech, in my opinion, better, because it feels more realistic as a person and to Goku's character. That is who Goku is. Goku is a hero without being heroic, which you can be. He's not All Might, you know what I mean? But he still is a good guy. So, people saying Goku is a bad guy, he's not. He's just kind of selfish. But I don't understand why people do that too, because people in real life are fucking selfish. Like, that's just how people are. Goku is a person. He was raised on Earth. He has an opinion and his own needs and wants and all that stuff. You can't just have Goku be like this, oh, this hero, I'm an ally to good and nightmare to you, and this, not necessarily saying that speech is bad, I'm just saying that isn't Goku's character. And then, another thing I hate, whole sub versus dub thing. Who the fuck cares? If somebody likes subs, somebody likes subs. If somebody likes dubs, somebody likes dubs. Manga versus anime, again, who the fuck cares? Sorry, I'm chewing. That whole versus thing, like, come on, guys. It's not that serious. Some people like subs. Some people prefer dubs. And I love how, like, again, it goes into that gatekeeping thing. Oh, you watch anime dub, you're not a real fan. Shut the fuck up. I speak English. Sometimes I want to turn my head and do something else while I'm watching anime on occasion. I can't do that with subtitles. Sometimes I want to read manga because I want the actual story and not some edited version with filler in it, like anime does, so I'll do that. He has to imagine fight scenes in his head. Imagine being a nigga that picked on somebody for reading. Like, that sounds fucking stupid. Who? Like, get over yourself. But I feel like this has devolved into more of the things I dislike about the anime community. Don't get me wrong, I love a lot of things. That's why I talk about anime so much in these podcasts. And I feel like I get my point across enough doing that. But there are just so many things that are just like, come on, guys. I fucking hate this. So I think to cap it off, I just want to bring up the whole Kai thing again. Because I saw a post yesterday. And apparently, Dragon Ball Z is coming to Netflix. In Latin American countries, apparently. It's not coming to the U.S. Maybe over time, one day, eventually, it will come to the U.S. But people are like, oh, cool. And then somebody was like, oh, it's just Kai. It's fucking stupid. And then they started talking shit about Kai. And I'm like, why does Kai still get this stigma for being like this watered-down, edited version of Dragon Ball Z with less violence? And it's because people don't understand that when Dragon Ball Z Kai originally aired in America, it was on Nickelodeon. And when it came out on Nickelodeon, they edited a lot of the violence out because Nickelodeon is a kids channel. So they couldn't show a lot of the blood or gore, like heavy hits of certain scenes, so those were heavily edited. And people hated that, myself included. Also, not all the original voice cast returned for their roles from the original Dragon Ball Z dub. So there were different voice actors for certain characters. Like, Gohan's voice actor was different. I don't think Krillin's was. Krillin's was the same, I believe. Frieza's is different. Android 18's was different. I think Cell's was, too. I think Cell got a new voice actor, but he did a pretty similar job to the original one, if it was. Sean Schemmel was still there. He drastically improved. Christopher Sabat was there. So it was just a better Vegeta, better Piccolo voice acting because they had improved over the years. And people hated that dub because of the new voices. And people still like, those voices are weird, they suck. I'm gonna say it. Hot topic. Hot take about this whole thing. The dub voices in Kai are better than the dub voices in Z. The returning and the new people are better, and they're better because of a lot of things. First of all, we have better scripts. We have actual one-to-one scripts, so we have better dialogue, because it's the actual dialogue necessary instead of these weird things they had to write in because they didn't have the right scripts, or they had to translate scripts from a Spanish translation. They couldn't get the original Japanese translated scripts back in the original airing of Z in America. And voice engineering, like the technology for like voice work and audio quality is a lot better, so it sounds better. They actually use the original Dragon Ball Z score instead of like the Bruce Falconer edited score, which is better for Dragon Ball Z. People love the Bruce Falconer score. I do too. I grew up on that shit too. It's awesome. But the original Dragon Ball Z score is better because it was made for the show. Also, there's music always playing in the Bruce Falconer score because they did that on purpose. There's scenes in the original sub where there's no music playing in the original Z with the Japanese music because there doesn't need to be any, and for some reason in the English dub they thought kids would lose interest. So they always have fucking music playing in scenes, even when scenes where like tension is building and it should be silent, that they have this music playing, and it's kind of distracting. So personally, the original score is better. And I think a lot of the dub voice acting is better, even the new voices. They took a minute to grow on me, but I think when Kai came out, I was still in high school. But nowadays, when I think about the Kai dub, I think their voices, the voice work is a lot better. Not because their old voices were worse voice actors, the ones that got replaced, but because these people probably are much more experienced in the modern day and age now. Like I said, audio quality sounds better. Sean Schemmel and Christopher Sabat sound better as Goku and Vegeta in Kai than they do in Z, because they've had so many years to perfect that voice that they're more talented and skilled at that voice, and they know that character. And Dragon Ball Z is so well known, and was so well known at that point when Kai started getting dubbed, that people knew those characters a lot better. So the new dub voices are great. Like, don't get me wrong, the original Frieza voice I still enjoy, but in my opinion, she makes a much better Genkai. And then who does Frieza's voice now? I believe his name is Chris Ayres. He is fucking fantastic as Frieza. He is the dub Frieza that is the counterpart to the sub Frieza. He fucking has that character down. It's beautiful. Like when Beerus and Whis' English voice actors got heard, I was like, they literally just sound like the original Japanese, but they're speaking English. That's how I feel about Chris Ayres as Frieza, and he does a great job. And I believe Chris Ayres' brother is the voice of Frost, which is Universe 6, like, Frieza race character. So that's pretty dope. And I know when Chris Ayres was sick, he had a condition, and he needed some rest time. His brother was voicing Frieza for certain parts, and he did a great job. I think his brother voices Frieza in Fighters, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. He did some voice work because Chris Ayres at the time couldn't. But Chris Ayres is a fucking phenomenal Frieza. 18's voice took a minute to grow on me, her new voice, but it's good. It works for the character a lot more, especially over the years now when I understand the characters in Dragon Ball Z a lot better. Same thing with Gohan. Kid Gohan's voice is a lot better. I still adore the original Kid Gohan voice, but I think this one's just better, and I think that one is mainly because the better audio quality and just the better script. Why I prefer that one, but it took a minute to grow on me. But that Gohan voice in the dub fits Gohan's character a lot more. And people probably are gonna disagree and say, "Oh, it sounds bad." I'm like, get your nostalgia glasses off. It could be better, and it is. The Kai dub is just a superior version. It was meant to be a superior version. Also, if you watch Kai online and not like some Nickelodeon video upload, like, just watch it subbed. They don't edit out the violence. Like, I think it's less blood just because of like television standards nowadays in Japan, but also to match the manga more because it wasn't as gory in the manga. Like, certain scenes are still like really gory, like when Frieza gets cut in half, because that scene's really violent even in the manga. But it still has the blood and the violence. They don't do like the little quick white screen right before someone gets like hit really hard in the non-Nickelodeon version of Kai. There's not those weird color edits, like instead of Mr. Popo being black, he's like blue when it aired on like, what was it, like Channel 5 or like fucking Nickelodeon, because they thought people would think it's racist, and it's just like, oh, calm down. And they actually cuss in the Kai dub, like they're actually supposed to in the original scripts. It's edited in the Nicktoons version because it's supposed to be for children. So the stigma of Kai being like this childish, watered down, non-violent version is because of Nickelodeon. Oh, also they cut out a bunch of filler. It's more accurate to the actual manga story. I believe there still is some filler, but it's not like a lot. And a lot of the filler episodes in Dragon Ball Z are actually really good. Like the driving school episode is iconic, and it's going to be in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, so that's great. But you're getting Dragon Ball Z Kai is the closest thing we'll get to like the original manga animated perfectly. The only way they probably could get it down better than that is if they reanimated the show and just did it exactly how the manga does it, which they're probably not going to do. But that's the last thing I wanted to talk about, just because I'm like, stop thinking Kai is it's not. It's better. It's just better. And I explain, and again, that's my opinion. If you still disagree with me, you disagree with me. But I stated my points. And I think they're pretty strong points. Like, look up Dragon Ball Z, like, old dub voice acting, and look up Kai's voice. It's better. Come on, guys. Like, but, that's probably where I'm going to end it. This was a really random one. But, next week, I don't know what I'm talking about. Next week, we're going to do episode 20. That's a lot. How many episodes you got? A lot. But, thanks for tuning in. Shameless plugs. Go ahead and like Art Project's Facebook page and the YouTube channel. I think the YouTube channel is really hard to find. Because I even tried to search it and I couldn't search it. For some reason it doesn't pop up. I'm too weak of a channel, apparently. But I upload all the podcast episodes on YouTube and on Art Project's Facebook. So you can just probably go to Art Project's Facebook. And I share the uploads for the podcast when the podcast goes up. And also they should upload on that Facebook directly if you just want to listen to it on Facebook. And then I'll link the YouTube channel's like playlist. So you can directly go to the playlist and subscribe and like the videos on YouTube too. If you're on following. We also have an Instagram that I'm actually posting a little bit more often on to get more updates on that. So if you're on Instagram and one little short clips for like updates of when the next podcast is coming out and shit like that, Instagram, it's called Art Project on there too, I believe. I believe you could just search Art Project. And it'll be the same profile picture as the Facebook page. I have a Twitter. I don't really use Twitter to tweet, though. I look at other people's tweets. And, like, news updates for games and anime and shit I get from there. I'll try to update Twitter and do more stuff on Twitter, but I'm barely starting to do more stuff on Instagram, so we'll see how that goes. Other than that, that's it. Like I said, Art Project's still getting worked, or Another End of Tale is still getting slowly worked on behind the scenes. Working on some character descriptions still. So, I'll keep people posted on that on Art Project's page as that comes along. Maybe I'll try to put up some new information about it soon. It's kind of been really behind the scenes, but just know it's not like being shelved or being scrapped or anything. I'm working on it. It's just like, I don't really have a lot to show yet. It's more just like planning and getting ready for this comic for when 2020 happens and we can actually start working on it. But when we get there, so I'll keep you posted on that. But thanks for supporting. I'll see you next week for episode 20. Episode 20. That's crazy to think. But okay. I'll see you guys next week. And have a good one.
Hey.